All right, we are back here on the Justin Suffering podcast, getting ready for the third major of the year in the golf world, the U.S. Open, kicking off this week at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. Joining me today to break it down, as we do on this podcast, our PGA Tour correspondent. He actually works the tour. Dan DeMartini is here. Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. How are you?
Pretty good. And I got to say, it feels like there's a lot of news going on in the world of golf right now. Can you give me sort of a general overview of what's happening here?
Yeah, and once again, there's for anybody out there, there's a lot going on in the world of golf. I advise everybody to go and, read articles from unbiased sources and obviously understand where the game of golf is and some of the challenges that are going on around the world. And a lot of people's opinions differ at the moment. I can say a few things. I'm very proud to be a PGA Tour employee. And I do think that what we do, our mission, who we partner with, our players are the best in the world, and we will continue to do so going forward by supporting those players, working with our partners, and putting out a wonderful product that gives back to charity. And that's a huge thing for us, and I'm proud to continue working for the tour for many years to come.
Fair enough. I'll say that.
But this week, the U.S. Open, happy to kind of walk everybody through like I normally do. So we're at the Country Club of Brookline, which is, believe it or not, I think it's the oldest country club in America, if I've looked into that correctly. It was part of the original 5 that the USGA had sanctioned. And it is very, very interesting. Once again, the U.S. Open chooses and the USGA choose very, very difficult layouts. They set up the course in a way that's going to be a very difficult challenge for these guys this week. The marquee thing to know about the Country Club of Brookline is their greens. Super tiny greens, challenging split elevation. If you don't put the ball in the exactly correct spot on the green, you could end up well off the green, way back in the fairway, in the water, in trouble. It's going to be very interesting to see what the conditions are like and whether or not guys are able to get the ball to stop on the green in spots that they want. You have to have pinpoint accuracy as you approach greens. I wouldn't be shocked if a few guys lay up, just knowing that their next shot would be much easier than going for the greens and having it roll to a very difficult position. So it's going to be a lot of fun. This course was redesigned or reimagined a bit in 2007 to make it more playable to today's standards. I mean, it's been around for over 100 years. And as I understand it, there are 39 holes at the Country Club of Brookline, and the USGA has combined certain tees and fairways within those 27 holes to make this year's layout. So this is the first time it's ever going to be played with this exact tee to green layout, which is really interesting. We haven't really seen the US Open there. There was a Ryder Cup there. And we haven't seen it since, I think, before you and I were born, Mike. I think the last time it was played there was 1988. So
that's correct.
Yeah, I think the U.S. Amateur had been there, and we could talk about that in a little bit. But, other than that, it's been a while. But I love being from the Northeast, getting to see this part of the schedule because myself, I'll be in Maine next week for the Corn Ferry Tour event. There are a lot of really wonderful course setups, and you only get a couple months a year. But this is a great time to tune in and check out what golf in the Northeast looks like. So fingers crossed for good weather and good conditions for the guys.
Yeah, I thought since he brought that 2013 U.S. Amateur they had, I was looking at the results from that tournament. There's some big names that are in the news today in the golf world that played there. I mean, Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, the list goes on here. Do you think some of those guys who played the course in 13 when it was a U.S. Amateur will have an advantage over the rest of the field?
I do, which, not to get too far ahead of me, but the guy that won the event is my sleeper pick for the week. Not so sleeper pick for the week. But yeah, you have to kind of look at the crop of guys that are playing really well on the PGA Tour right now, leading into the U.S. Open and having that advantage. Scheffler, Homa, the guys that you guys listed, Sam Burns, all of those young guys that are having phenomenal seasons on tour are ripe to attack this course with a somewhat new lens, but also understanding that they've been out there and played very competitive rounds on the course. So it's a huge advantage compared to the guys that are getting there for the first time today.
Yeah, for sure. And right now, the defending champ is Jon Rahm. He won last year at Torrey Pines. Like, do you think he has a good shot on this course? You
can never count Jon Rahm out. You just can't. His game, when the lights are brightest, he steps up. And I think that, once again, there's certain odds if you're looking and looking at who the favorites are here. Jon Rahm might be a great pick. He's obviously the top two guys leading in are Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler. But, you know, if you have your eye to try to take somebody other than the favorites, Jon Rahm is a great bet. It doesn't matter how well Jon Rahm is playing or how often he's playing going into a major. He always brings it, and I fully expect a top 10. And that he's competing well into late Saturday, early Sunday for sure, at a minimum.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the other contenders here. Who are some other guys you have your eye on here this week in terms of who can make some noise? Sort of like more traditional like contenders.
Yeah, well, you know, Justin Thomas is my guy. I feel like I say his name all the time going into this. I love Sam Burns. I think one of the coolest finishes this year is obviously watching when Sam Burns and Scotty Scheffler were in a playoff a couple weeks ago, and you saw the confidence that Sam Burns plays with. I just love his game. I think as long as he keeps it in the fairway, he's got great iron play and he can really putt the heck out of the ball. So I think it's going to be really important that your putting game is the most critical part this week. If you're not leaving your first putts in good spots, we could see a ton of 3 putts. So it's just going to be a challenging week. I think it's going to take an adjustment. I expect the scores to be right around even after the first round. Maybe one guy has just an incredible round early in the day before the crowds start to show. Other guys that I like, obviously, Justin Rose had an amazing week at the RBC Canadian Open. Huge fan of him whenever it comes to a major championship as well. And why not Max Homa? I mean, he seems to be the millennial favorite these days, just because of his social media presence and everything he brings to the table, and having several wins now under his belt. So why not look at a guy like Max? You know, he's got a lot of fans in the Northeast that are looking to cheer him on. So I expect some raucous Boston area crowds to get behind Homa very early.
Yeah, I think one thing to remember about the U.S. Open, people may not remember, is that this is sort of like run differently than a lot of the other majors, where like the USGA runs it and like they tend to enjoy making it more difficult for the pros to like actually compete on this thing. You're not going to see winning scores like -12, -15 like you see sometimes the Masters of the PGA. You're just like, you might be like lucky you get -3 on your winner sometimes.
They try to make it a true test. We all remember what happened at Chambers Bay, you know, several years ago, when, you know, putts were going off the back of greens. Nobody could score it. The scores were crazy high, you know, which in golf is not a good thing. You don't want a high score. You know, I fully expect the same thing. Why not? I think it's fun. You know, you see people love home runs, people love touchdowns, people love birdies. But once in a while, having an event where it really shows how hard the game of golf can be, and everybody's right around even as the course was intended to be, I think it can be fun, and it normalizes what a lot of people. It makes the players more relatable, because these are the best players in the world, and seeing them struggle makes you feel a little better every time you chunk it in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, to look at some of the winning scores the past years, the past 2 years was -6 as the winning tally. It was at -13 from Gary Woodland in 2019, but +1 was the winning score from Brooks Koepka in 2018, which tells you how hard the US Open can be.
Can be. All right. And Brooks Koepka is a great name to keep an eye on as well this week. Anytime, it feels like PGA US Open is when he really, really shines. So keep an eye on him too.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him too. We like to talk about the sleepers. Right? I mentioned one earlier, Matt Fitzpatrick, is somebody you're wild. Who else is on your sleeper list?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how how far down a sleeper you're looking for. I mean, guys that you don't immediately think of. I love Will Zalatoris. I think that when the majors are out there, he seems to step up as well. His game is perfectly laid out for the Country Club at Brookline. Obviously, there's a guy named Joaquin Niemann who is not a big name right now for the casual golf fan, but I really love his game. It feels like every time there's a major out there too, you see his name in the top 10 early. So why not? And Cam Smith, the Players Championship winner, the Players Champion. I mean, he's just having a phenomenal season. And I don't think that the bright lights of a major really bother him. He's a very easygoing guy, and he's easy to root for as well. So keep an eye on Cam Smith.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it is early in the week. We're recording on Monday. There's still a couple of days of warm-ups to get through before they actually get here. One thing I also want to mention here is that Tiger Woods did opt to skip this event in order to focus on getting ready for the Open Championship next month. Feels like a better chance to win there. I mean, considering the struggles we saw Tiger had the PGA, I think it's probably a wise decision not to try every single major, only a month apart.
Yeah, Tiger's not going to play if he doesn't feel like he has a chance to win. He's not going out there looking to just try to finish second or in the top 10. That's just not Tiger Woods. And anybody who's watched Tiger Woods over the last 20 years knows that that's not Tiger. He wants to win, and when his body is right, he'll be ready to go. So I would expect to see him play either a tune-up round before that, or get out there early and really start focusing on winning another major. So, we all root for Tiger. We love Tiger, and we hope that, he's ready to go and gets back playing competitively on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of winners here, looking at some of the odds on DraftKings right now, I think Rory is the lowest odds right now. I think he's plus 1,000 to win. I think Rahm is plus 1,200, Scheffler plus 1,400. Like, who is your winner pick right now if you had to make one?
And I hate to just keep going back to the well on this, but I really do think that Justin Thomas, I actually think it hurts Rory a little bit. We all love Rory. It's just, I think that when you win an event like he just did yesterday at the RBC Canadian Open, which he was just, it was such a wonderful Sunday to watch him, Justin Thomas and Tony Finau in that final grouping. I do think that winning, he's going to have a good couple rounds, but I feel like the adrenaline will probably wear out a little bit. I would expect Rory to easily make the cut, but then it's a very different course. So I'm going to take Justin Thomas truly because he showed that he's right there in the mix at the RBC Canadian Open, and he didn't have as much pressure on him yesterday. So I like to think that his game is really tight. If he's hovering on Saturday, like if he's 3-4 shots back, I'm going to feel really good going into Sunday because that's classic JT. As long as he's got a chance going into the last round, he's within 5 shots, he zones in on it. I mean, he can finish like no one else. So I'm taking Justin Thomas.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple of the other ones out here for you. For the odds people, for listening, some of the people Dan mentioned here. Matthew Fitzpatrick, Will Zalatoris are both going out at 30-1 here. Max Homa, 45-1, and Justin Thomas is actually the second favorite behind Rory at 11-1.
Yeah, and once again, you can't go wrong with any of those guys. What's Cam Smith at?
Cam Smith is 22-1.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
right. Well, that's about right.
Yeah, I think he's number 6 or 7 on the board. I haven't checked. I have to figure out exactly because they don't number these. That thing is trying to go down the list to see where he is. Yeah.
Well, look, if the names that we talked about today, I would feel confident with any single one of them, and this should be a very fun weekend to watch some golf. So hopefully, while everybody is either back from vacation or not heading to vacation, make sure you flip the golf on this weekend. It'll be worth your time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Trisha, you open spot too, right around Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, it's perfect time for Dad to get out, play around, and then come home and watch some good golf.
Absolutely, Dan. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, I hope you follow social media and keep out some of the stuff you're doing.
Sure. So you can find me at DMart207. And right now I am enjoying, as I mentioned earlier, I'm actively heading to some of our Corn Ferry Tour events and getting to engage in some of our more charitable endeavors on the Corn Ferry Tour as well as the PGA Tour. So just out there trying to help people and give back to our greater PGA Tour communities.